Those just coming in. The login's on the board. I did email everybody about it, but you know, not check your email. Your S number does work, but it's a lot slower. Those just coming in. You log in with a Max with the login on the board on the left and right of the board. Just tap the space bar to log in. And you can go ahead and access Kahoot there on the board with your phone or computer, either one. And you can create your own username, a fictitious superhero if you want to, whatever you want to do on that. We'll get started here in a couple minutes. Those just coming in, logging with the login on the board on the left or right. Just tap your space bar and the Mac should wake up. And then there's a Kahoot on the board if you'll follow the instructions there from your phone or computer, either one. All right, my name is Professor Chuck Conkle. I'll be with you the next 15, 16 weeks. This is Advanced C++, and welcome, first night, first week introduction. My little stuffiness tonight, so I apologize. Sniffles. I'll try not to breathe on anybody. I think it's going around. Pretty much everybody's got over break. So, but anyway, I thought we'd start with, we usually start with this each week, a Kahoot, which is just a online quiz. It's not graded. The first one out of the chute is basically an introduction to C++, kind of a refresher. Many of you, if not all of you, have had or just came out of 276, I believe, or you've had it in the past, or you have C++ background. And so I think I've got 8 or 10 questions on here. You'll log in with your phone or your computer each week when you come in. Starting week 2, the Kahoots will be over the last week's reading. So week 1's reading and that you're going to do this week, we'll have a Kahoot about it next week, if that makes sense. And so be aware of that. We'll have it right at the onset of the class. The makeup of the class, besides this week, we'll talk more about it in a second, but this is a hybrid course that you signed up for. If you've never taken a hybrid course, what that means is it's a mixture of face-to-face and online involvement. And so you'll see here in a second the schedule I've chosen for this week, for this semester for us. So majority of the weeks, about 50-60% you'll be meeting in here. The other 50% you'll be meeting online. The online portion, though, the beauty of that is you don't have to meet at 7:30 on Monday night. You'll just have to watch a podcast, and we'll talk more about that later, about the requirements for that. Towards the end of the semester, we'll talk more about that in a bit, is you'll have a final app you'll be creating. You'll have a few weeks, I think around week 13, 14, where you'll have time on your own to work on this app in C++, and then you'll present it on the final week of class in the classroom. And so let's go and get started. If you haven't already done this, go and get logged in. to kahoot.it. It'll ask you for a PIN number and a username. Is everybody in? All right. I'm going to go and get started. Name and define one element of a C++ program. Function, semicolon, data declaration, comment. Keyword is element. Elements. Define one element of a C++ program. There'll be more than one answer, by the way. There'll be more than one answer. That's true. That's true. All right. And so basically, if you chose either function, data declaration, or comments, that is an element of C++. A semicolon is actually not an element. It is basically a line item for the compiler. You aren't being great on these either, by the way. And so here's a scoreboard thus far. Why are comments required? Looks good, won't compile, make difficult to debug without them. And you do have about 20 seconds to answer. If everybody answers within that 20 seconds, it'll end and show us the results. All right, so makes it difficult to debug without them. Won't compile. Depending on if you forget a comment in there, definitely that would be the case. But generally, if, being a programmer myself for about 30 years now, when you're working with teams of developers over the iteration of a life cycle of an app, you know, you get millions of lines of code. And so what's great about commenting is, well, how I think is not going to be how you think. And comments are my brain in the code, basically, of what my thoughts are on that function or whatever I'm working on. And then you can translate that English understanding of what I was thinking a lot easier than maybe sometimes just looking at the code without comments. And so comments are beneficial for future developers that look at your code, or a team of code, or you yourself if you look at your code 5-10 years down the road. And so comments are real important because of that. All right, what is the purpose of return 0, semicolon? And return, fast return, or good return? Good return is the answer on this one. It is generally in the main. Generally, a lot of times it is. But it basically just means a good return. Anywhere you use a return 0. There we go. What statement is used to print to screen? C in, C out, output. C out's the correct answer. There are C ins to when you're inputting something. Output, it doesn't exist. So C in does exist, though, as an input statement from the screen or keyboard. Next, which one is not a C++ operator? Star, percentage, // or 2 bars. Yeah, the or in some languages you'll see this. JavaScript, VB, number of other ones will use that. The first 3 are mathematical operators that you could use: modulus, multiplication, or division. What will the following statements print? Assume I is equal 15, J is equal 7, C out, and I in between brackets and L. Yeah, that should be 15. I equals 15. Everybody got that right? Good. A named area of memory used to store values. Standard, library, or variable. Yeah. variable is the answer on that one. Determines variables we are going to use in a program. Variable initialization, declaration, pointer, or class. A variable declaration has to be defined in order to use it throughout your program, whether it be a local variable or a global variable. And we'll use a lot of those in this semester. True or false? What does it mean? Answer, Boolean, correct, or value. Boolean is correct. True or false? 0 or 1. Good. Great. So there's a leaderboard there. A unique 135 out there somewhere. Agent 135. And so we'll do that each session on Monday of each week. Just something fun to do. You can also use sign up for Kahoot.com at your own self and use it at work or in meetings for study groups or whatever. It doesn't cost anything. It's kind of fun. They have tons of them out there too. If you're into sports or politics, they get tons of them out there for that as well. All right, so tonight's just an intro night. We're going to definitely just dive into how to get around the course, the makeup of the course, the structure, all the good stuff, when things are assigned, communication, stuff like that. So the top portion, hopefully everybody's into Eagle by now. If you're not, see me right after class and I'll help you. If you just signed up today, you're not going to be in, but I think everybody in here signed up prior to tonight, so you should be all right. My office is 2222 upstairs. This room is 1112. This number here at the top is a Google phone that you can call or text anytime. It'll come directly to my phone, and I will reply. I prefer either this or email. Either one will work, whichever you're used to using all the time. If you're used to texting a lot, you can just save that as a text, as a contact for me. And then if you have a question, you can just text it, and it does not annoy me. I welcome it. So you can text that number and come right to me, and I can reply because I know many of you use text already. General course navigation helps. Basically, lets you read that on your own, but basically it's just getting around Eagle. If you need help with Eagle, I would say go to the Eagle office or on our Rockford College.edu has an Eagle training section for students. If you need help, most of you probably don't, but if you did, I always have to put that little blurb out there for you. Course success, we'll read that together. Just read and do any reading assignments before attempting, and examples before attempting any review questions, discussion, programming assignments. If available, download and run, or we're going to be using Replit this semester exclusively to run the program solution to see an end result. You should carve out at least 5 to 6 hours a week. Most of you probably won't need that much, but I give that as a default just in case you might need it. If you get stuck, do the following: read the assigned reading again, examples, podcasts, take a short break, and then start coding again. If you have exhausted everything above, A, B, and C here on number 3 or number 4 here above, you can ask for help by sending me a link, compressing the project, compressing the file, or sending me the Replit that we're going to be using this semester. And you'll find out more about that tonight. Course discussion. This section here is basically to help you communicate, since we only meet face-to-face once a week. If you want to discuss, say you're getting ready to buy a computer, you want people's opinions or phone or whatever, if you find good deals on memory. I installed a lot of memory over break, so if you find good deals on that, you can post it here. Stuff like that. So just geeky, techie stuff, but it doesn't have to be. It could be weather related, political related. I don't care. It's your area basically to camp in. So just the only rule I have is just be kind to each other. Kind of the Ellen rule, I guess you would say. And just treat each other good. You'll be fine. I try to stay out of this area. It's your area to play with. And then Connection Bot is just a bot basically I created a couple years ago, modified a little bit to schedule face-to-face or online meeting, help with other courses, speaker requests, chat, upcoming events, or if you want to volunteer for the Hour of Code, which we do once a month at the Cherryville Mall, definitely would welcome your help to do that. It's on the first Tuesday of every month from 6:30 to 7:30. So if you're interested, you can let me know. Be more glad to plug you in. Underneath this is resources, solutions, final help, app help, and online weeks help. Resources, go over that first. So in here is a whole bunch of resources for the course. The top one is course resources, textbook. The first link is a downloadable PDF, which is Practical C++. Recommend downloading just to save bandwidth and headaches. You can put it on your phone or tablet or laptop. This is an online modern C++, both good references. The creator of C++, Jarn Staustrop, his website, recommend that as well. C++, modern C++ resources, Wibbit.net, edX has a tons of resources. One I bookmarked I really like for students. You don't have to take it now, but if you've ever heard of edX, they're free program learning tools, courses basically you can take for free or for paid, either one. It's a great resource, and it's offered from all different places like MIT, Harvard, Princeton, and I've helped over the years to develop some content. This one's offered by Microsoft, and it's called Intermediate C++. Again, just another tool to help you in your journey of learning advanced C++. It's a good, anything in edX you find is a good. In fact, if I go to the root page here, they always promo some upcoming stuff that they're doing. But here's some little colleges you might have heard of before, like MIT, Harvard, Berkeley, take part in this. And again, the concept behind it is for folks to learn a concept or a language or whatever for free, and then you get you literally enroll for the course, and you take the course. You get a completion tag or not completion tag, and a certificate. Then, if you want credit for it, you can pay for it, but you don't have to. You just take it for your own learning. But we got tons of examples, like in computer science, front-end developer, blockchain, which is huge right now, software development, a master's in that, and so a whole bunch of certificate and face-to-face program or online, all online programs. So at your leisure, look at that. I've taken a number of them over the years for professional development. I probably take a half a dozen to 10 a year myself. So always, latest one I did was on BitChain and Bitcoin technology and artificial intelligence. And so really good content, and you're not going to go wrong with it. So
you don't have any of those credits with transferring?
Do I know?
If you paid for the credits, would they transfer?
Good question. I don't believe so. No, it's a good question. No, I don't get credit for it here. I get credit. I have to take like 15 hours a year for professional development, right? And so I use it for that. A lot of times your work though will pay for it. If you have places that pay like 80% of your tuition or something, as long as you get a C passing or whatever, I think most places do. So you can do that at least. And it is accredited. So even though it might not transfer for a degree here, I'm working on a artificial intelligence certificate on that site, and so you can take certificates that are accredited, and when you get the certificate, it's actually like a certificate from MIT or a certificate from Harvard. So it's a pretty big deal, and it's not real. I mean, some of them are real expensive. Courses start at like $99 all the way up to $5,000 for a whole certificate, but the certificate might have 8 or 10 courses in it. So again, it's just something I think I'm a big believer in, especially in this field in programming and IT, of giving students as many resources as possible to help you. So you're going to learn stuff in here definitely, but I'm not saying this is the only and all type of a tool for you. That's why I try to give you as many things like this to help you. So edX is something to check out. Even though they're not transferable, I definitely recommend it. Definitely for you. So good question. Any other questions on edX? All right, cool. So let's go back to the home page. That's course resources. Solutions. All right, solutions are down here at the bottom where it says solutions code and weeks 3 through 12 solution. I'll just show you an example here. This one's to a Dropbox, to a switch statement that can be compiled in either C++ compiler or like we're going to use in class a Replit compiler. And one of the reasons why we chose Replit, or I chose Replit, and we're using a lot of, in fact, I'll choose week 4 as a Replit. This is a Replit example. This is what Replit looks like, by the way, if you've never seen it before. Replit is an online compiler that basically supports pretty much 100% of all languages now, as far as development goes. And what's great about it for a learning tool is, you can run it from any device. It doesn't have to be a PC, which generally programming courses are taught in a PC environment. You can learn on this on a tablet, on your Mac or Linux or whatever it is you want to take it on, because code is code regardless where you're compiling it at. And then it has a run button up here, and you run it. And I'll go ahead and enter in text here. And this was just counting the number of words that I entered in, which was 2. And so as you can see, it's got a couple include statements that you'll be learning about in the next couple weeks. IOStream and CString, usename standard. Got your main. There's a function called count that counts the words and the needed comments. And so main CPP file that you're used to seeing in C++, but the compiler's online in Replit. I'll go to Replit real quick just to show you the default or the languages available for Replit. I'll go to like the Learn Teach section. So here's just a few. I teach Python as well, teaching in Summer 1 for artificial intelligence and home automation, Internet of Things you might have heard of. Python's a big program behind that. So Python code, JS for JavaScript, Java, C#, front-end jQuery, bug mashers, Go, the new language Go from Google also, Ruby on Rails, Turtle through Python. So as you can see, a whole bunch of different languages. When you go to create a Replit, and I have a couple of videos I'll show you in a second, but pretty simple to do. We'll go up here. You can hit the plus symbol, and then you choose your language. And so here you can do C++, but you'll notice you have general purpose, which we'll be using, or C++ 11, which is the original Bjorn Starstrup advanced C++ code, the latest and greatest. And you'll notice as soon as you click on it, it puts in the needed include statement for IOStream. And then the one thing it does not include, though, is the IOStream standard, which you don't have to include. By including using namespace standard, you don't have to include, if I can find that again, you don't have to do this type of thing to a cout. That makes sense, which you probably not had to done that before on a compiler because it does it for you. But in the olden days, we had to do that. I want to date myself a little bit. Anyway, so the solutions or solution examples are here for you already. I think you'll like Replit if you've not used it yet. I think most of you probably have heard of it or have used it, I think, probably. If not, you'll enjoy it. Final app help. Starting week 12, again, we'll have a final app. We'll talk about here in a second when you'll pick your final app here in a few weeks. But you'll basically create an app that meets some real world need, whether it be a calculator, a grocery list, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be real complex, just something that is useful, has validation input for validation, at least 3 functions. You'll create a web page in GitHub. You'll learn how to do that. GitHub is an online resource for developers for source control. to store your code. If you've not used source control in the real world, in the working world, you use source control all the time to back up your code on a daily basis. That way, if your computer crashes, you have a backup of your code to restore from anywhere. The other purpose of source control is sharing your code with other developers. So as a team, we can work on an application and split it up amongst developers. And GitHub can also create web pages. It can be used to host a website and also host your source code. You can also do what's called checking in and checking out on GitHub. You can do a pull request. You can do a push request, which you'll learn about what those are. But I have a couple examples when we get to that level in the final app. A screencast to help you on creating a web page. And talking about screencasts, which I did not talk of the first of class, the whole session, whether it be face-to-face or online, is podcasted, meaning what you see on the overhead and here is being recorded. And so after the session, it's immediately available in that module for that week under whatever week numbers -podcast, and you'll be able to watch that podcast again immediately. To maybe go to a certain section if you need to or whatever. So you don't have to feverishly write stuff down or whatever the case may be. You can focus on coding or just discussion or whatever we're talking about. Also, you'll upload your code to GitHub once you're finished with your final app. I suggest using Replit for your final app to create, test, and deploy, which you'll learn more about that in the coming days. March 12th, not March 121st, March 12th, you'll get an app title and description. April 1st, app basic functionality. April 8th, app testing and debugging from friends and family. April 22nd, complete website on GitHub or Weebly. You can use that too if you want to. April 29th, upload final code to GitHub. And May 6th, the final presentation. And then here's some examples of final apps and stuff students did last semester. We'll look at some of the stuff they did last spring to help you. All right. And then online week help. You'll notice in the outline, there's some weeks that say online week podcast post by 7:30. So we have week 3, week 6, week 9, week 12 that are online weeks. And what that means basically is we'll go to the online weeks help to talk about that. Since this course is hybrid, face-to-face, online both, there are weeks we'll meet online, and the requirements for that will basically be you need to know about there'll be a podcast posted for that week by 7:30 p.m. the day of class. I'll more than likely try to have it earlier than that, but by 7:30 at least. Watch a podcast at your convenience during that week. Complete assignments as normal for that week. And then communicate any help you might need to me via email or text message. Make sense? So you can watch this at home and do it just like you would an online class, basically, for that 1 week. That's how we're doing it for the hybrids. Week 1 introduction. So a lot of little homework, getting signed up to stuff this week. There is some homework we'll talk about, but a lot of stuff you're signing up for this week, getting on board on things. The podcast, which I talked about, it's already in here, and it's being recorded live. And I have one student that's on off-site that is watching this already that cannot come on campus, and so they're watching this live. And so it's already being streamed live right now and being recorded for them to watch. Kahoot, already went over that. About me, some of you already finished that. I believe you're just going to answer some questions about yourself. Name you go by, favorite food, favorite movie, hobbies, why you're taking the course. And then reply to at least 2 other posts. You can reply to more, but at least 2. Sign up for Replit. You'll go to replit.it, and then you will join our course here. And inside of Replit for 277 is the one you want to choose. And then you'll say done when you're finished. How many signed? It looks like I have 3 people signed up already. So just do that between now and you'll need to do it before you submit your assignment, which we'll talk about in a second. All right. And then sign up for Solo Learn. Anybody heard of Solo Learn before? Okay. Solo Learn is a great tool to refresh yourself in languages or learn new languages. I chose it in this class to be a refresher for C++. It's an interactive environment, can be downloaded to your phones or tablets for Android or iOS. And it'll take you from advanced C++ to beginner C++ all the way to advanced level. And you get a certificate of completion upon the completion of each module within Solo Learn. And so here's what Solo Learn looks like. I'll just log in with my Facebook login just to show you. I don't think I have anything done on this. Well, I guess I have a few. So the ones that are highlighted in color, I've completed. The ones that have not been highlighted in color have yet to be completed. Well, you'll notice when you finally complete all the ones, you do get a certificate at the end. The basic concepts are going to go over mini modules, about 8 to 10 questions per module. Once you finish the module, it'll put a little checkbox that you've completed it. All right. All I need for each week when we assign a Solo Learn is a screenshot that you've completed those modules like that. That's it. Just a screenshot and you'll post it. Done. You'll enjoy it. I've had students, once they start this, take it and they finish it the first week. So, if you want to do that, that's great. You don't have to, but it is a lot of fun. It's challenging, and you will learn things that you did not learn in C++ 276, definitely. Maybe some things like on polymorphism and classes and things like that will definitely be helpful for this class for sure. And so anyway, you can also, while you're on this environment, it does have other languages besides C++. If I was to recommend a language that you might not have thought of taking, Python would be one I'd recommend taking. It's probably the most needed language in the next 5 to 10 years that developers aren't really thinking about. And one of the reasons it's needed for is artificial intelligence, also Internet of Things, things like that you will be developing in sometime in the future, probably at your workplace, wherever that might be. And the Internet of Things are things like, your Ring devices on the doorbell Ring devices, lights in your house, lights in businesses, automation of procedures and everything from opening a garage door to counting inventory in a warehouse. And so Python is it's a fun language to learn too. You'll enjoy it. Java, not so much. It used to be really popular and really needed, not so much needed today. Even in my Android class, we use Kotlin now instead of Java for the base language. But it's a fun language to learn. It's a little harder than Python if you're new to languages. JavaScript, recommend that one. C#, recommend that one. PHP, recommend that one. All these on this page here coming down. It doesn't hurt to learn more languages. I think as a developer, you need to be able to have a wide variety of knowledge of languages because you're going to be developing a lot of different languages throughout your life cycle of a developer. And so you might like one language, prefer one language, but it's good to know all the languages, as many as you can kind of understand it. And Solo Learn's a great tool to do that. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything. So that's even beneficial. And so anyway, Solo Learn is what we're going to be using. They also do have a new thing called Code Playground. I've not played with much. If you guys want to play with that, let me know. Let me know what you think. I've not played with it much. I think it's designed to just be a code playground to just do whatever you want to in coding. And so if you do get a chance to play with that, let me know what you think because I've not played with that much at all. But it's fairly new. So sign up for Solo Learn. You'll complete the basic concept, one I just showed you. And once you're finished, if you have a Windows user, you can use a snippet tool to do a screenshot or any other screenshot tool you want to use. Back in the day, we just did the alt print screen. That still works too if you want to do that. And then Mac users, you do Shift Command 4. I guess you could do this on your phone if you wanted to. I've had students that did it on their phone and screenshotted it. It's a little bit more interactive on your phone, I think, than it is on the Windows or Mac environment. So you might enjoy it more on your phone. So you can just send it to yourself and upload it here. That'd be fine. And everybody knows how to do a screenshot of your phone, so I won't put the directions for that. If you don't, you can Google it. It's pretty simple to do. Or ask your neighbor. I'm sure they can help you with that. So that's solo learn. Reading for week 1. Read Modern C++. This is the online version, chapters 1 through 3 on basics, static typing, and program structure. And then Practical C++, I won't click on that. That's a PDF. You'll read chapters 1 through 4 in that prior to next week, coming to class next week. And then the assignment or the slides, there's 4 slides in here. Chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, really pretty short slides on just, again, a rehash or a refresher of C++ that will definitely help you, I believe. And it's from the Practical C++ area. Now, when it comes to your assignment, when you get logged in, you'll log in as a student. You'll complete lesson 1. And then you'll see completed after I've graded it. I'll get prompted that you've completed it, then I'll grade it. And then all you'll need to do, you don't have to wait for me to do this on number 4. It says submit done upon seeing completed on the replit. You don't technically have to do that, even though I put the instructions. If it helps you to make sure you've triggered yourself so you won't forget to go back after I say completed, because when I say completed, it emails you say I've graded it. But I will grade it. So if you want to say done when you finish it, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to say anything about it. That way you don't forget. Okay? That makes sense? And so I'm going to go ahead and click on this to show you what it looks like. So lesson 1, intro. Over here's a lesson. Over here's what you need to do. So objective is basics of C++. And so it's your first in C++ program, demonstrate basics of C++ programming on your code to the left, goes under computer code column. Do not put the line number in program. Description explains what line of code are doing. As you program, it's a good idea to use comments in your code. This helps other programs who may have to change or add code. And so you'll basically, as the instructions say here, I'll expand this out a little bit to where you can see it. Hard to see it there. And so basically the first line number, you're going to put this, my first C++ program. Second C line number, you're going to put that. Third line, you're going to put that. So on and so forth. And then over here is a description of what you're doing, basically. So again, it's just a refresher of basic C++, really. It's a basic hello world that everybody does, right? First week in programming all the time. You've done them umpteen times. But it also helps you get used to Replit and how Replit works. So you notice it's not going to should not take you awfully long time to do. Once you finish, though, with your code over here, you better be able to run it. And I'll go ahead and run this. I have nothing in there, so it's going to error out. But once you put your code in like it should be and run it, down here, it'll run below in the compiler on the left side of the screen. Okay. And then you can, on this, there is options for input that we'll learn later and clearing, which you can do as well. This just clears the screen, basically is all it does. If you're interested, the first week, because you'll have time, I think, when you go to my reps or my repls, they call them, you can come in here and start creating your own replets, basically for practice. And what's great about the replets is once you create them, you'll notice a whole bunch of different ones I have in here, not just C++, but I got HTML, CSS, Swift, JavaScript, C++, Python, a whole bunch of different languages. But I'll bring up, I'll even bring up maybe a past student's example here. So here's carries on I think it's a coin toss game. So heads or tails game. Press 1 for heads, 2 for tails. So I'll go ahead and do 1. Play again. Yeah, we'll do it again. Let's do tails this time. One more time. How about one more time? Hey, I got one. Anyway, as you can see, her code's here. But what's nice about it, once you create your code, you can come up here to the share icon, and you can share on Facebook, Twitter, or just email it to somebody, and they can run your code immediately. They don't have to have an account or anything. This link it creates a share link. I'll open it up in another browser to show you. So there's the Replit. This is Carrie's my account, cconkle, and I named it the Students Coin Toss game. But you'll notice that when this link loads here, I'm not signed up. I'm not logged in. But even though I'm not logged in, I can still come over here and run the program without being logged in. So the end user can do the same. So when you get to the point to where you're working on your final app and you want somebody to test it, you can share them just like I showed you just now. But there's podcasts how to do that as well. You don't have to remember that tonight. I have podcasts for everything, including how to create a Replit and share it. But I think you'll enjoy it. Students, I've had real good feedback from students on Replit. And the beauty of it is you don't have to worry about your installing your compiler. If you've not done one yet on your computer, you don't have to worry about it. Next is review questions from Chapter 4, Practical C++. And then again, these are questions from the Chapter 4 from Practical C++, and you'll just answer these questions. Once you answer them, example will be like 1, C++ began in 1972. All right, something like that. So you'll just answer the questions. If it's A, B, C, D, just put A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to put the whole answer in there if it's a multiple choice type thing. Does that make sense? All right. I would suggest doing that on off screen or something, and then just pasting it in there or something. That way you don't the Eagle doesn't time out or something on you, which I think it's not supposed to time out, but I think students have told me it times out after about 20 minutes if you don't really do anything, if you're just reading something. I don't know if you guys have experienced that or not. It's supposed to save where you're at, but I've heard it doesn't sometimes. So I just don't want you to lose your work. So do it off screen, if that makes sense. Do it off of the Eagle when you're doing your review questions, and then you can post them when you're done. Each week we'll mostly have a discussion, week 1, week 2, so on and so forth. Week 1 discussion, how your first week back, were you able to sign into everything? If not, say, I had problems with this, or if you were, say, yeah, everything's great. Next week, week 2, reading will not take you long, by the way. And what I recommend, because you'll have time to read week 1 and week 2 prior to next Monday, because it's not a lot of reading. It's not real long reading. The books, the way they're designed, is they have a lot of concepts, right? And then code examples. Well, the great thing about code examples in the book reading is you can copy it and paste it into Replit and compile it immediately upon reading it. That might be helpful for you. And so it's not a lot of, just, single space reading or nothing. So I would recommend at least skimming through week 2 reading before coming to class next week. That way you kind of have an idea of the content that we're going to be covering. And chapters 4 through 6 is basically preprocessor directive, expressions, and statements. And then modern C++ 5 through 7. That is, let's see, arrays, qualifiers, reading, numbers, decisions, and programming process. So not a lot of pages on either one of those. So I think won't be a big thing for you to do that. We will also have a Kahoot. Let me make sure on the Kahoot next week. I think it tells you. I think I try to tell you in there. Yeah, from chapter 4 C++. So you're going to have over that this week, I believe, week 1. And so we'll come in next week. We'll do a Kahoot. Or it's already been done on and put up on Kahoot for you to do. So that's the makeup of the class. So again, this week, introduction. Next week, basics, more basic in C++. Week 3, we'll go over conditions, 4 parameters, 5 preprocessor directives, bitwise and logical in week 6, structures and pointers in 7, classes in 8 and 9, more advanced pointers in 11, reading, writing to file in week 11, having fun updating a dice game, a complex dice game in week 12, and then you'll begin your final lap work in week 13, optional attendance there on week 13 and 14. I will be here both sessions, even though it's optional attendance to help. And then mandatory attendance on week 15 for app checklist I'll have you go over. And then you'll present the app in class to everybody on the final app on 5/6. So let's see here. There's one thing else I was wanting to cover on the introduction. No, I think it was it. Oh, examples. In examples, I'll be updating more. There's not many in there right now. I took a lot of them out, but there's some examples of replet in here. In the replet, examples of loops, prime number, prime print triangle, read and file, read and write file. You can do that in replet. Functions, math and function, arrays. Also inside the resources is check-in. We'll be doing that starting next week. Those of you who had me before have done this. I'll have the iPad up here when you come in starting next week. You'll have a QR code that you'll just follow the steps on this check-in. You won't find it right now because I'm updating the app still. And so, but you'll go from your phone, myattendance.today, and when you go there, you will enter in your ID. Like I'll go ahead and do mine. I know mine's in there, hopefully. Just need the E number on there. There it is. And you'll get something like that back with your name on it, your QR code. You can save that to your phone, and then you'll come up and use that to check in starting in week 2. It'll be available by class time next week. And then you'll just do that as you come in. I'll try to have the app running and iPad up here about 7:15, the Mondays that we're in class. And I think I went over everything else. Good, good, good. All right, any questions on the makeup of the class, expectations? We didn't talk about homework, due dates. If you go to the syllabus link on Eagle, it should have all the due dates by date. Again, a lot of little stuff due this week, but you'll see most weeks have an assignment, discussion, a solo learn, review questions, and then everything else. Like week 3, it looks like you're doing your final app idea submission. I like this view because you kind of see everything at once, really, really in the snapshot of when things are due. So syllabus is a lot nicer view to help you. Everything's due by Sunday of the following week that we're in, or the current week that we're in, by 11:59. And then again, if you have any questions about anything, about your assignments or signing in or getting access to something, let me know. Questions before we're done? All right. Well, look forward to a great week, 15, 16 weeks here with C++ Advanced. And again, if you need any help or whatever, let me know. And I'll always end on the first night. We're just going around the room, having you guys tell us your first name, why you're taking a class. Once we get through with that, we'll be done. And then we'll see you guys next week. So we'll start over here with you, sir.
Hey, Jody. I love programs. That's what I'm taking.
You got your app all good to go, it looks like?
Yeah, I do. Well, good. Great. Actually, I'm a finalist on I started an app last semester from iOS. I had to build a whole back-end PHP application to actually supplement an iOS app I was working on. And anyways, I entered in an application for parachuting. They were doing a tech roundup, and it was picked as a finalist, so I get to go present in February. I get to go.
Yeah, let me know when that date's on. We'll make sure.
Yeah, I was going to tell you.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
My name is Ahmad. Taking this class because I'm going to be transferred to NIU, my bachelor in computer science.
Great.
Jordan. Kind of the same thing. I'm looking for one science degree. like game design, so.
Awesome.
My name's Brian. Going mostly for a degree, but love computers and programming.
Good to have you.
I'm Kelsey. I like programming and I'm gaming.
All right, great. Good to have you.
My name is Noah, and I really like programming.
Good to have you, Noah.
All right, my name is Barry. One is for the associate's degree here, and two is for the
I'm Drew. I also like programming and going for the certificate.
Kevin pays for me to come here, so here I am, personal development.
I'm Brendan. I'm taking this class for my bachelor's, and I also enjoy working with computers.
Good to have you.
I'm Nicholas, I'm doing it for a degree, and I'm on
My name's Brandon, and my major is computer science, and I plan on transferring next fall to NIU.
My name is Jordan. Just for programming on my
Good to have you. Good to have you. Yep.
my name is Sargon.
I'm Joshua. I'm taking a class for the certificate as well.
And I'm taking it for the degree. Alex, hopefully go to NIU after next semester.
Awesome. A lot of NIU folks. That's good. All right. Well, look forward to a great few weeks in front of us, 15, 16 weeks in front of us. Again, look forward to a great class. Hope you learn some stuff and programming. Again, my door's always open. My email's always open. You can text me. But I'll see everybody next week. All right. Good job.
You care if you bring our own laptop, son?